Okay, so you're interested in like getting up to speed on the book of Second Corinthians.
Huh?
We've got you covered.
Yeah.
Uh, we are diving into a text that summarizes the book of Second Corinthians.
Okay.
Perfect for understanding the key themes and the message.
Yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you will be able to hold your own in a conversation
Right.
about Second Corinthians.
Okay.
Impress your friends with your biblical knowledge, and maybe even spark some deeper reflection on your own.
I like it.
So to start us off, Second Corinthians is a letter, the second one written by Paul, to the church in Corinth.
Right.
And so understanding the historical context of the early church can add depth to your understanding.
Yeah. I think that's really key here. You've got this church in Corinth, and it's kind of a melting pot of different cultures and backgrounds. And they're wrestling with all sorts of issues.
Right.
How to live out their faith in this new context, how to relate to each other, how to deal with these kind of conflicts and divisions that are cropping up.
Yeah, and so this letter, I'm looking at this summary, it's like Paul is going through like a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
It's joy, and then it's defense of his ministry.
Right.
And then it's addressing conflicts and divisions.
Yeah.
And then it's passionately pleading for reconciliation.
It's all there. It really is.
You really get a sense of Paul's personality in this letter.
Yes.
And his heart for the Corinthians.
And so, like, one of the main things that comes out in this letter, and I think it's super relevant to today, is like this idea of reconciliation.
Yeah.
Like, Paul really desires reconciliation with the Corinthians
Right.
after this like previous disagreement.
Absolutely. I mean, he loves these people,
Yeah.
and he wants to see them unified, and he wants to see them living in harmony with each other.
Yeah. And how often do we see that today?
Oh, all the time.
Like, where we would rather win an argument or prove a point than actually restore the relationship. Yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in being right.
Yeah,
But Paul reminds us that relationships are ultimately more important.
totally. And another big theme I see here is like this suffering and strength thing.
Yeah.
Like, Paul openly discusses his own suffering,
Right.
how he's been persecuted, how he's been beaten, how he's been imprisoned.
He's been through a lot.
And yet somehow he finds this like strength in God.
Absolutely. And I think that's a message that really resonates with people today.
Absolutely.
We all face challenges in life.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging to know that we can find strength in God.
Yeah. It's like he's saying like, look, I get it. Life is tough.
Mm-hmm.
But here's how I find strength in the midst of it all.
Exactly. And he's not saying it's going to be easy,
Right.
but he's saying that God will be with us through it all.
And he uses that image that really stuck with me, the jars of clay.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Like, we're fragile,
Yeah.
but we carry this immense treasure inside of us.
It's a beautiful image. He's saying that we're not strong in ourselves.
But God's power is made perfect in our weakness.
Yeah. And, another big thing that he talks about in Second Corinthians is generosity and giving,
Right.
and particularly the collection for the poor in Jerusalem.
Yeah, he's really passionate about that.
But what I really liked about what he was saying was that it wasn't about showing off how much you give or meeting some quota.
Right.
It was about the heart behind the giving.
Yeah, it's about genuine compassion.
Yes.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected.
Yes.
And we have a responsibility to care for each other.
And so, we've got reconciliation, we've got strength and weakness, we've got generosity and giving. It's like Second Corinthians is just like this crash course in like how to live a meaningful life.
It really is. And it's amazing how relevant it still is today.
It really is. Like, you think about a letter written thousands of years ago,
Right.
but it still speaks to the human experience.
Absolutely.
The struggles that we face.
The joys that we experience,
Yeah.
the relationships that we have.
It's all there.
Yeah, it really is. And
Yeah.
so I think that, if there's one thing that I hope that people listening take away from this deep dive,
Yeah.
is that Second Corinthians isn't just some ancient text. It's a living, breathing message
It is.
that speaks to the very core of the human experience.
I think that's a great way to put it.
And considering what Paul says about reconciliation
Yeah.
and how we can apply that to our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are some ways that we can be working towards that reconciliation?
Well, I think it starts with humility.
Okay.
Being willing to admit when we're wrong and
Right.
to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
It also means being willing to forgive others,
Yeah.
even when they've hurt us deeply.
It's not easy,
No, it's not.
but it's so important.
It is. And I think it's also important to remember that reconciliation is a process.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It takes time and effort,
Yeah, it really does.
but it's so worth it.
And on that note, I think we've come to the end of our deep dive on 2 Corinthians.
Okay.
I hope that you've enjoyed listening,
Me too.
and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.
Okay.
So that was great.
I think so.
I think that went really well.
Yeah. I feel good about it.
Okay, great. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
See ya.